K-pop sensation BTS is in Washington today, but not for a concert. The group, which has become a worldwide phenomenon, is set to meet with President Biden at the White House, and they're shining a light on a very serious topic. NBC News White House correspondent and K-pop analyst Mike Memoli joins us now with more. Mike, good to see you. I mean, all kidding aside, we know BTS is there to take part in celebrating AAPI Heritage Month and really to talk about a very serious rise in anti-Asian hate incidents. So what can we expect from this meeting?
Yeah, Joe, good morning. They're calling this the Build Back Butter Summit, the president meeting with one of the biggest pop groups in the world. As you mentioned, it's part of AAPI month, but also really to shine a spotlight, as the White House puts it, on addressing Asian hate crimes and discrimination, which we've seen become, unfortunately, too prevalent in the wake of COVID, especially. The president and BTS going to be meeting behind closed doors today, but I expect we'll see some pictures of that before too long. And they're also going to be talking about how to further demonstrate the importance of diversity and inclusion in our pop culture as well. We've heard from BTS on this topic. They've said that we have endured the same kind of expletives, the same kind of hate that other Asian Americans have in this country. Not in the same level, but it's something that they feel passionate and committed to. And so we'll be interested to see how the White House ends up presenting what happens behind closed doors today.
Yeah, something tells me we'll see some sort of images or something come from that. I mean, the president's been outspoken about fighting hate crimes. Last year, he signed legislation aimed at curbing anti-Asian hate. Does the White House plan to take on any other action to address the issue?
Yeah, that piece of legislation that the president signed passed overwhelmingly, which is not something we take lightly in the current state of Washington. But when we've heard from the president and the vice president this month, as they've marked AAPI Heritage Month, they've talked about a range of actions that the administration has tried to take, from increasing resources at the Justice Department for dealing with Asian American hate crimes. The president signed an executive order in his earliest days in office directing federal agencies to try to combat the rise of xenophobia that we've seen. But ultimately, as the president really is fond of saying, this is something that we can certainly try to deal with in our laws, but ultimately we need to change hearts and minds. We've heard him talk about this in the wake of the shootings in Buffalo, trying to take on hate. As he said, hate never really goes away. It hides under a rock. And that's why the importance, as he says, words of a president matter. And he's tried to strike a very different tone from his predecessor, especially as it relates to COVID.
It's an important issue, but we can't ignore the fact that politically it's not a bad move either. We've seen other big name celebrities at the White House. Is this part of a larger strategy for the administration?
Yeah, it certainly is, Joe. There's some dismay on the part of White House reporters like me that this is happening behind closed doors, that we won't have an opportunity to see it. But, Joe, I should make it clear, a frank admission, this is not an event that's targeted at me. This is an event targeted at millions of Americans who likely will consume this through social media. That's something that we've seen this White House, a tactic they've used very often. We saw just in the last few weeks, for instance, Selena Gomez visited the White House for an event with the First Lady, later taped a sit-down conversation with the president outside of the Oval Office. We saw Olivia Rodrigo come to talk about the importance of vaccinations. When the president wanted to shine a spotlight on the issue of equal pay, he had members of the women's national soccer team. So this is a lesson from the campaign that sometimes counting on the traditional media is not something that's effective. You can go over us by speaking to celebrities like this to get your message out.
Are you saying you don't have a favorite BTS song?
I could name maybe one, and that was the one I referenced in the intro, but I know you got me beat there, Joe.
All right, sounds good. Mike Memoli, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.